only place we would not convert to school was our bedroom. But the rest of the house, we will convert it back to
school.
Then at night, back to home. So that's how it was. When we wake up in the morning, we would pack up their beddings and set up the space.
So the room where they slept became your first babysitting center.
Exactly.
Today on the Inspire Youth Show, I want to find out about education. I want to find out what it takes to become an educationist, especially in the country called Nigeria. I want to find out the qualities that you need to be a good educationist. You see, my son has been inspired by teachers that have had great impact upon his heart and his life. I don't know if you're out there and you have had that experience in life. But today we won't talk about education as a business, talk about education as it impacts our society. Welcome to the Inspire Youth Show. Good. So we'll also take the rules of this place. Hello and welcome to the Inspire Show. Today we are trying to inspire any aspiring educators out there. And we have on the show the head of school for Care and Cuddles School in Jahi, Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Let's welcome to the Inspire Show, Mrs. Nguavese Idiabana. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you also for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, tell us, how did you get into education? You know, one would think, especially for the city where your school is, one would think that it's for business. There's business opportunity. But tell us your story. How did you become an education?
Okay, so I went to Trudged School, Makodi, and my mom is still the proprietress of that school.
Wow.
So apart from being her student, I can say I was secretly understudying her. And after I graduated from her school and I went to secondary school, all my holidays were spent working with her. You know, during the holidays, she gets to go to school to catch up on missed work and all that. And then even at times when I happened to be at home and her school was in session, I would go work. And I think after I graduated, before I went to university, I was also a teacher at her school. Yeah, so I was even making money at that time. I was making teaching aids for her. Then I was quite artistic. I don't know what happened to me right now, but I would make her flashcards for her. I would even teach some subjects like art and agri and everything. And then sometimes I go sit with her and learn the administrative part of it. So when it was time to pick my course in university, I knew it had to be something education. So I actually went directly for education economics. I studied that. And of course, when I was in school, I was more interested in education courses and all that. So I came out with a good result, and then that was it. And then I served, and then I felt, okay, I served, and then I got married.
So just before you go for after you got married,
Okay.
But then tell me, is it a thing that all your siblings, are they all into the education line? That you're coming from a lineage of education?
Well, no, not really. So I am in the educational field, and then my sister of blessed memory actually took over my mom's school. Yeah, she was the school administrator, so she was interested in that, even though she didn't study education, but it was just something she tilted towards. And my brother, after studying accounting, he went back to school and studied education, and then eventually took over my dad's school, Batia College, Makodi.
Wow.
He did that for 10 years, almost 10 years before my dad passed. So he's doing that. But the last one, she's not into education, but she still does work for the school. She's a graphic designer. So she does all the banners, does all the flyers, does all those things. And then somehow all of us are mini consultants to our parents' school.
Oh,
yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So, this could be an inspiration to anybody who is actually around the school environment. That could be your precursor to owning your own school. So, back to your story, then you got married.
Yes.
What happened?
Then I got married. I was taken away from I won't say I was taken away from my dream, but I deviated a little, but still came back.
How?
Still came back.
You got another type of job?
Well, funny enough, I started as a housewife. I wasn't working. Full-time housewife.
By choice?
By circumstance.
Okay, by
I was in an environment that did not push me enough to want to go professional yet. So I used that time to have my first two kids.
Okay.
And then luckily for me, and well, let's say unlucky for my husband, because he didn't really like fact that we had to come back to Abuja because then we're in Delta State.
Okay.
And so we came back, and then I got a job with Zenith Bank. I liked that because I was thrown into the professional scene.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. You know, Zenith Bank is known for excellence.
Yeah.
The ambience of the banking hall, the way the staff behave, the drive and everything. And then as a marketer, it helped me know my way around Abuja and build my confidence when speaking with people. Because as a marketer, you go walk into people's offices and you have to speak to people, big men, average, all sorts.
Yeah.
And then handle different kinds of personalities you need. So I took that as a learning path for me.
Okay.
Well, I couldn't survive more than 2 years in the banking sector.
You were fed up. You were frustrated with the work.
I knew it wasn't really my thing because it was, I just had something pulling me and saying, okay, I knew I couldn't, in fact, everybody in the bank knew that I was talking about having my school. They all knew. So when we go for meetings, they're like, this person, her mind is not here. Her mind is actually, and then my son had a health challenge. And of course, for me, that was a cue to leave. We almost lost him actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was sick. You know, the bank takes a lot of your time, especially when you're married and all that. So he was sick. I didn't know until one of the salary breaks, and then I noticed he at that time he was in the hands of my maid, who probably wasn't doing the right thing. And so during the holiday, I noticed he was ill, took him to the hospital and all that, and he had, I can't pronounce the word, but it has to do with blocked intestine.
Okay.
So at 5 months, he did a surgery. They cut off his tummy.
Wow.
And that was
intestinal obstruction. Wow.
Yeah. So that was my cue. So I just walked into the bank and I just put in my resignation. But I gave notice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I gave notice. And then so I tied it up. And that was it.
You left the bank?
I left the bank.
How did your husband react to that?
He kicked against it because for him, I was delving into the unknown. For him, the bank was like a stable place. You know, you didn't get your salary and everything. But I knew, come on, I had almost lost my son.
Yeah.
And for me, what could be worse than that? So I moved. We got a place in Taco. That's where we started. It was actually our home, and then we made a lot of sacrifices because it was like combining home with school. So you walk into the building and it's set up like a school.
So wait, hold on. So after you left the job,
yes,
you then started off the school?
Well, towards the tail end, I was already looking for a property.
Okay. So you were looking for a property with the mind of starting off a school?
Actually, a babysitting center.
Oh, that's what you wanted to do.
Yes, I just wanted to take care of kids. In fact, my target then was 20 children. I just want to take care of 20 children. So it was like, okay, I'll set up my home, but make it safe proof. So when people bring their kids, I watch over them. Working class. My target was working class because from my experience at the bank, I knew that was a gap.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, people working would want a place to have their kids and all that. So we got a big enough building.
Yeah.
But sacrifice money, like I said. So you set up like a home. So sorry, like a school. But then there will be one room that okay, this is your private space. So you see us converting my children's rooms to when they go to, how old are they then? Okay, when we wake up in the morning, we would pack up their beddings and set up the space.
So the room where they slept became your first babysitting center.
Exactly.
You pack it up.
So it was a duplex. So downstairs was set up like the daycare. Then upstairs, which was our private space. The only place we would not convert to school was our bedroom. For the rest of the house, we would convert it back to school. Then at night, back to home. So that's how it was.
All right.
That's how it was. So, the premises had 4 duplexes.
So wait, before we get into all the premises, I mean, let's soak that in just for a second. My mind is still on the transition you made. You had to resign. You said your son was ill, and the bank took a lot of your time. How did you know you should leave the bank and enter into education? That transition, that part, or were you already working towards that while you were in the bank? You mentioned your colleagues kept saying.
I kept on saying I want to own a school one day. Okay. I want to own a school one day. It was at the back of my mind. It was. The truth is, when we first moved to Abuja, I tried getting into other schools to be a teacher. So I just remained like that at home, still being a housewife, and then somehow through some connect, I got into the new town.
So when you got your property and started converting your home, a home by night and a school by day.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a bit about that process. How did your husband react to that? Your family?
Well, he had accepted that. Okay, I have resigned because, like I told you, he kicked against it initially. He had to do a lot of talking and
Okay.
convincing, and so we got the property. And well, he's quite busy, so like during the day he's not even at home, so he doesn't really
Yeah.
see what's going on. So it was easy. So it was like I was just staying at home and working and working. So the first year was really interesting because the month I resigned, I remember 24th of the month was the day we get our salary. And I was like, wow, so I'm not getting
No salary,
I'm not going to be paid this month. And everything. I was like, wow, and everything. So marketing was, so I spent my days marketing actually.
Marketing the school,
Yes.
marketing the crèche.
Yes, marketing. So I would drive around with my flyers, and then in traffic, I would look out for a mother with a car seat in her back seat. And then I'll call a vendor, a newspaper vendor, and say, please help me, because I couldn't stop my car in traffic now. So I'll say, help me give that woman.
Wow.
Then I go to the market. And I used to intentionally go to birthday parties with my kids, my first two daughters, with my flyers. So I know how children are.
Yes.
Come on, and then my mommy's school. To go around sharing flyers at birthday parties and all that. So that was it. But my first enrollment was a neighbor's child actually.
Wow.
So I was taking a walk one of those days. I wasn't even worried that I had opened school and there was nobody coming. I was just like, what to be will be.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a walk that day with my son and then my first son. And I see a man strolling with his son. And I'm like, oh, I just opened the school. And he was okay, fine, we'll start tomorrow. He hadn't even seen the place. So he walked in and that was how my number 001 enrolled.
Wow.
Then people started coming and they would go back. I'm like, they don't want their child to be the only one and everything. So at the end of that first year, which was 2009,
yeah, 2009,
we closed with 3 children or 4 children in December.
Humble beginning.
Yeah. So at that point, like I told you, the house was, still under. So we used the whole of December to renovate and stuff. So it was at the peak of renovation, POP everywhere, dust everywhere, and all that. People started coming in the middle of the dust and everything. Yeah. Then so when we resumed in January that year, I know 11 people were waiting for me in January to enroll.
Wow. So tell me, who was doing most of the work? Who was caring for the children? It seems like it was a crèche.
Yes, it was. So I started with a nurse, me, and my maid. 3 of us.
3 of you.
So I would wake up, my maid and I wake up, we'll clean up the house, wash the bathrooms, and make breakfast for 3 of us. And everybody anyway.
Yeah,
my kids
that's
and
everybody in the
myself.
house, yeah.
And then children come,
Get to work.
7 o'clock, come and pick their kids.
Wow. This is truly inspiring. I must say, I must say that it's truly inspiring. So if there's a young educator, an aspiring educator watching the Inspire Youth show right now, and if you're new to the channel, please do me a favor and just subscribe. All right, put on the notification bell so that you are informed of every new video that drops on the channel. But if there's a new or an inspiring educator watching this video, what would you say were the attributes and qualities you had and they should have that they should get into education as a business?
First of all, make sure you have a mentor. My mentor was my mom. And as much as she encouraged me to start, she told me, do not think of profit or money before 10 years.
So hold on. We say of teachers that their reward is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is almost sounds like that. What you're talking about is a little different because you're a school owner.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from just being a teacher. But you're saying even at that,
yes,
you are counseled not to think about profit for the first 10 years.
Yes.
In your experience, eventually, was that the case?
Yes. Yes, because there are things that are beyond your control. You cannot control how fast people enroll. You cannot control your salaries to an extent because if you want to have good staff, you have to pay them well. You cannot. There are many things that you can't control, and I think having the spirit of contentment also is very important, and patience. And patience. Nothing should be a do or die affair. And if you're Christian, so to say, or whatever your religion is, you know that God will always provide for you. You can't go hungry.
Yeah.
And God always blesses the works of legitimate hands.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's a mindset thing. It wasn't a desperate thing.
Okay.
I wasn't desperate.
Okay.
I knew, like I said, I watched my mom build her school. I saw I was part of the whole process.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And she also exposed me to her challenges as well. So I knew it was not going to come to me on a platter of gold.
Oh.
I knew that.
Okay.
I knew all her challenges. And that's another thing. If you have a mentor that is actually open and honest with you, it helps you a lot.
Wow. Don't think about money first 10 years. Be content. Yeah. Expect challenges. Yeah. What else?
Work hard. Develop yourself. Study. Even if you're not going to do a course that is certified, read up a lot. Read. Google. Make Google your friend. Then it was Google. Now we have other, So read up a lot. Collaborate. If you have other people too in the same, starting at the same time, and you don't feel their competition, open up to them. So I have a group of friends also. I have a cousin in particular.
Yeah.
She has a school in Lagos. Okay. So we would always rub minds, always. And coincidentally, any challenge I had in Abuja, she had the same. Almost at the same time, within a week, the same thing will come. So we already were ready. They are already ready to. So I think if you love what you do, it just flows. It just flows. If you love what you do,
This is the Inspire You Show. We're talking to Mrs. Nguavese Idiabana, and she's told us some things that have made us ponder. The show continues. Welcome back to the Inspire You Show. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you are informed whenever a brand new video drops. Let's get back to the conversation with the head of school, Karen Cuddles. Can you say you had the same challenges as your mother had, being that you witnessed a bit of what she went through? Did you have the same challenges?
Do you know, I won't call them challenges, I'll call them experiences.
Okay.
Because I already knew they were coming. It wasn't a challenge to me. It was like, so this is one of them. So it was an experience. Anything that came my way was an experience. Anything. And I would say I was blessed with a good team from the very beginning. My mom, for every challenge in quotes you have or you face, she always has something positive to say. So I remember when one of my very, very key staff woke up in the middle of the term to say she was leaving, and she was giving me a week's notice. At that point, we had just started the nursery section of the school, and she was like an anchor person for that part of the school.
Yeah.
And she gives me 2 weeks notice. I remember calling my mom. I had to excuse myself from the building to the one corner of the compound. I wept. I told her, I said, "Mommy, she's leaving." You know what she said? Very good. So now you know what to do. You've experienced it now. And you're going to develop a very thick skin. And you're going to make sure that no one person in your system holds you to ransom.
Interesting.
You're going to make sure that you train many people because the business one day is going to go beyond you. It won't be about you anymore. It won't be about that. No business should be held to ransom by one person.
By one person.
Yes. So it was an experience for me and a learning point.
Wow.
Yeah, a learning point. So any business that is anchored on one person. In fact, I would not like to even know that my business is anchored on me, even now at 17 years. So that's why it's good to have many leaders in the system. You're training people, you don't hold information and all that, so that there's a system running. So I won't call them challenges. They are not valid challenges. No. If you're confident in what you're doing, whatever is thrown at you, you remain calm, you do not panic, and you just handle it.
So is this a function of, having seen it from your being modeled before you by your parents, or it's a general disposition of your life?
General disposition of my life.
That nothing is a challenge, it's an experience that you will find a way to somehow.
Yes, and I don't think there's any need to worry or panic over anything for too long.
Okay.
Yes. Don't worry, panic over anything. No matter, because in the grand scheme of things, think of the world, the globe. That thing you think is a big challenge is nothing. You're like a speck of dust.
Yeah.
That's like
true.
a speck of dust. All those things you think are challenges are actually not. They're just things that happen.
So, what would you say was your biggest experience? Since you don't call them challenges, I know that your school, you experienced COVID-19, and you had to switch up from in-person education to online education. But what was your biggest experience in all of this all through? It might be from the education part, might be from the business part. What was it?
Okay, let me talk about COVID.
Good.
Thank God I talked about collaboration.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mentioned my cousin in Lagos. So when COVID hit, we're like, wow, this is okay, first of all, it dawned on us that we have only one source of income.
As a school?
Yes. Our schools were our only source of income.
Are schools supposed to have more than one source of income? Please educate us right now. I mean,
you can't have one source of income.
Wow, as a school?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I'll come to that, but tell us.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I called her. I was like, wow, so school's going to be shut down indefinitely. How are we going to do that? How are we going to take care of our families? What are we going to do with these children and everything? And then, of course, Lagos is somehow always ahead of us.
Yeah, somehow.
Yes, so she told me about Teams.
Microsoft Teams.
So we keyed into that.
Microsoft, come and sponsor this show. Yeah, go ahead.
Microsoft Teams and everything. And then she still introduced us to Google Classroom. Okay. Yes, so it was through her connection.
So you found the online platforms that you should use. And this your cousin also runs a school?
Yes, she runs a school.
So that's this family thing. It's not just
your her own family, long line. They have
education.
Yeah, educators. Big secondary school. They have schools, 2 schools still running.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the online platform was your way of surmounting the COVID-19 challenge.
It was difficult, but like I said, thank God for my team. So I had to pick. No, I couldn't now bring everybody on board. So that was an experience for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, who would I know? Because, of course, the money's coming in. Wouldn't have been able to pay for everybody, that pay salaries to everybody, and even the salaries wouldn't have been full because I had to do a slash. I couldn't start billing parents like they were coming to school in person and everything. So it was a very, very trying 1 week.
My goodness.
Yeah. Trying to put everything in order and everything. Just running the thing, even picking which staff would be. So I had to address everybody and tell them this is what's going on, but some of you will work, some of you wouldn't. Apologize to them to say, hopefully when everything's over, they're still available. Yeah, so I can't remember. So I had a different style. I can't remember. I don't think I was paying everybody, but I was paying those people that came on board. And then I wake up my eyes. Oh my goodness. Because I had to go from one class to another online. Check this class, check that class, check that.
Yeah.
And so I was going in and out of classes, coordinating that, still managing my home, trying to avoid falling sick as well and everything. So I think that was a very huge challenge. Every other thing was an experience.
Interesting. Yes. Interesting.
And so, we did good. We actually were able to teach. Yeah. Kids wrote their exams. And we moved on to the next class, went to school resumed, and everybody was fine.
So let's get back to the business part you mentioned. You found out that you only had one source of income.
Yes.
I don't understand. Please explain.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the school owner owning properties that give rent.
Good.
There's nothing wrong with the school owner having a farm.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the school owner having other sources of income, as long as your school remains your primary source of income and the other streams are not distracting you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but over time, I think it's my own person. Anything outside school business is not for me because I've gone into buying and selling, and I'm not that kind of a person. So, I would say my streams of income are still first from the school.
From the school.
Yeah. So that's why we have the sports academy. So you see, still with children.
Yeah.
And then I have some dreams. I don't know if I'm saying all my dreams, but I have other dreams also that will still be tied and anchored to the school. So that I can be focused on what I'm doing.
So I'm almost tempted to think that anybody coming into education, it should seem like a call.
Yeah.
Is that what you would say?
Yeah. So we have two kinds of school owners. The ones that are innate for the business. So you see, they're not hands-on. They don't really know what's going on in the school.
Okay.
They're not checking lesson plans. They're not part of the recruitment. They're not part of but the school runs. They actually still do it well if they can get if they get
The
good
right
managers,
hands,
yeah, the right hands. And then they're the kind my own hands-on,
hands-on.
come to work every day. I know what's going on to an extent in the school. Still micromanaging a little.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, I can answer your question now.
So
my biggest challenge in this business was agreeing to delegate.
For one who is hands-on like
Yes,
you because you have the skill, the ability, you wanted to micromanage and do
so I was
everything.
doing everything. Purchasing officer, this one, that one, that one. Everything goes down. Me. Supervisor, check everything. So of course you can't fight nature. As you get older, you know that this thing can't work and everything. And then you also need to trust people.
If you have a micromanaging boss, please put it in the comment section right now. Just tell us all about it in the comments. So how did you change? How did you transform?
So it's baby steps. So you first start with having maybe two supervisors under you, one for the preschool, one for the primary. They do well, and then while you're doing that, you're still surveying your staff to see those that have the potential.
Yeah.
Then you come on board. So right now, I think I have 8 supervisors working under me.
Interesting.
Yes, and I'm hoping that the school has gotten to a point where even if I'm away for 3 months, I can still run.
Okay.
I'm trusting them,
Oh, that's good. That should be an applause for you. Yeah. Well done. That's
growth. Still work in progress.
Okay.
Because yes, every day you have to bring in more and more structure. So you have to be somebody that has a discerning spirit and reading in between the lines.
Okay.
So for every experience you have, they call for an improvement in your structure and your system.
Yeah.
So even as at last month, I was still bringing up new ways to ensure that supervision is done properly and things that are meant to be in place are put in place.
So maybe you give me a short answer for this because I know it might just be a trade secret. Okay. So you're 17 years down the line. Is the education business profitable? I know you started off by saying don't think about money.
Yeah.
But is it eventually profitable?
It's profitable. But the more money you make, the more responsibilities you have. Yeah. So it's relative actually.
Okay.
It's relative actually. If you're running your school and you do not have any financial obligations anywhere else, it's profitable. Okay. You see your money. But if you're running your school concurrently with a project that is, financially demanding, then it may seem. But I always tell people when they ask me why are you making profit, I would say the fact I'm able to pay my bills, the fact that I've built a business that has made me creditworthy.
Yeah.
It's an honor for a financial institution to even agree
to offer you a loan, a facility.
Yes. So I may not be seeing, I might not have an account that is busting as it seems, but bills are being paid, and where money is not sufficient, the credit was it. So for me, it's okay.
Okay.
For me, it's okay.
From your experience, you have experience teaching, and you had the education business being modeled to you. Why did you just stop at teaching? Why did you decide to open up a school?
Because personality-wise, I'm more of an organizer.
Okay.
And the classroom is too small a space to be organizing for me.
Oh.
I think what I have on ground now is where I want to be.
Okay.
That's it. I feel there's a lot I can do within what I already have. I'm not one to think that I should have a school bigger
than this.
Yeah. With numbers, maybe slightly more, but not your typical gigantic things. And that's based on my own personality. Some people want to have 2,000 kids, 1,000 and all that.
And so why?
I have a smaller number. I am content with the smaller because I know there's a lot I can do with that.
Yeah, I observed your pupils in the class. They're not so many, and it seems like a deliberate thing.
Well, it's not deliberate, but I believe that God only give you what you can manage per time.
Okay.
Yeah, so if God feels I should have 500 children, He will give me 500 children. If He feels for now it's the number I have, then that's what I work with. But we're still marketing, we still hope for more, but there's also something about working around what you have. So some things are beyond your control.
So tell the audience, what are your numbers like now? How many classes have you got? How many pupils have you got? How many teachers? You mentioned you have 8 supervisors already.
Yes, so my staff strength is 70.
Okay.
I have between 240 to 270 kids.
Okay. Just under 300?
Yes.
Okay.
And then what else?
So let me peek into your mind about the future. Because today we have careers, we have people stepping into careers that they didn't learn in school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a term called a YouTuber right now, and that's not learned in school, at least not in the Nigerian educational curriculum. Do you think our curriculum is positioned to build our children for the future? And I know you don't control the curriculum, but I just need you to take a peek into the future and what you're seeing already happening now. Is our curriculum sufficient?
Well, I would say it's not really, but then the onus lies on you as a school owner to tweak it. So whatever curriculum is thrown at you is your baseline. And then, like I said, you have to keep improving and knowing, going with the trend, positive trend. So I believe that as much as we have professions that are not what um, is being
Taught in school, yeah.
there's always the advantage of being an educated person.
Okay.
Even if you want to end up being a footballer,
yes,
you have to, there'll be you will stand out being an educated person. I tell my son, you have to go to school, even if you want to be a footballer, because football is not forever. In the end, what do you hold back? No matter the money you make, you need to be intelligent enough to manage it, isn't it?
True.
Yeah.
True.
I believe curriculums, national curriculums, whatever curriculums are just baseline for you.
Okay.
You know what you can add. What they will not want is for you to remove. Let's say,
Yeah.
the way you should add upon
what is already there.
So
okay.
The way forward is to tweak your curriculum to cover whatever it is, to position the children properly.
Okay.
So for me, to be adding more vocational skills,
good,
more of IT, those two things, and then teaching children morals, because that's one of the things that is dwindling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something we learn from school, morals. Yeah.
Morals. So you can't, no matter how AI will go.
Yeah.
Your regular school.
We need those things.
You can't face it out completely. You can't.
So I'm sure someone is wondering what your greatest reward is from doing this. I think I mentioned it earlier. We say that for teachers, your reward is in heaven. But what's your greatest fulfillment in doing all of this?
Okay, number one, I'm relevant to my family.
Relevant.
I'm not someone that would sit and expect everything to be done for me.
Interesting. That's good.
Number two, I see the growth of teachers. I see how they are when they're working. I see how they are. And then sometimes when they even speak like me, I'm like, okay, even using my exact words, I'm like, okay, so this person is learning.
That's influence, yeah.
Yes. And then one of my greatest rewards is when kids leave the school and they come back to say hello to me. Like on inter-house sports days, you see, I always make the point of duty to take that group shot with all my ex-students.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. You see them, they're doing well. Their parents are telling me that the schools they go to are asking them where their kids are coming from.
Wow.
All that. So it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of it's just very, I don't know, it's very, and then just looking around and seeing that you put this structure in place and people actually keyed into your vision and are actually making it work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look around and I'm like, so these people just, are just agreeing to do what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And okay, and then also the parents also having a group of parents that have trusted you enough to give you their children, especially those people that bring their kids at 3 months. It's a very big decision to hand over your child to complete strangers, trusting they're not going to be causing any harm to them. And then you see parents that have passed through the system, all their children have passed through, 4, 5, 6 children have passed through, and they are bringing their neighbors, they're bringing their friends, put a smile on my face, like, okay, maybe we're doing something right now. It's not like we are perfect, we're not.
Yeah.
And then that's another thing, being open to criticisms, feedback, and acting on it, and while still maintaining your position on things. Yeah, so that takes me back to challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my challenges is trying not to bend too much, because you get there's the extent you go in running a business that if you bend too much to every single demand of parents, it now becomes a running the school, and the
That's right.
education is so
It's lost.
that's having a balance between pleasing your clients, doing the right thing, and still being in charge of your business.
It's been a beautiful conversation right here at the Inspired Show with Mrs. Nguavese Idiabana, the head of school for Care and Cuddles School, Jahi, Abuja. The next set of questions are going to be a rapid response set of questions. So you're going to look right into that camera, and I'm going to be asking you just some really quirky, funny questions. Are you ready? You're ready?
I think so.
Rice or swallow?
Swallow.
Hangout or movie night?
Hangout.
Movie or soap opera?
Movie.
Sports or news?
Sports.
Vacation in Nigeria or vacation abroad?
Abroad.
APC or ADC? None of the above, eh?
because of my friend Anna APC.
Now APC.
Yes, my friend Anna. She's going for House of Reps Buhari.
And I'm cutting this part out. You're not going to pay for this advert.
Going for my friend Anna.
Oh my goodness.
For her. Yes.
APC.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me appreciate Mrs. Idiabana in the comment section. If you have further questions, please put it down there. This is the Inspire You Show. See you at the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was easy. It's just